In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the graphs for the Moving Plots Lab for IB Physics using the 2008 version of the Macintosh Excel. Okay. When I open it up, it looks like this. This is my default setting. I prefer to have the normal view like that. And I'm going to increase the size of this so you can see what I'm typing here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label our columns here. So time in seconds, whoops, position in centimeters, right? And per second. The thing I'm typing there is I'm actually hitting a tab key. That's what's moving me over. And now I'm going to double click, I'm going to hit enter. And then if you double click it when it looks like that, it actually adjusts the size of the columns to accommodate what it is you're doing, putting in there, right? Time is 0 seconds, and this is just your data from your ribbon. This is how far each sixth dot is from the first dot, right? So start with a 0, and then time, of course, starts with a 0, and then it's 0.1 and 0.2 and etc. And the cool thing is that Excel understands etc., right? Because apparently a lot of people have done this. So what I did was I selected 2 of them, right? I selected these first 2. And then I grab that little corner thing there and pull it down, and it generalizes, right? It reads my mind. It knows that I'm going to do by 0.1. Wow, what did I just do? There we go. Okay. And then notice how the precision of this is not the same. That's bothering me. It bothers IB too. So I'm selecting that, and then I'm going to go Format Cells, and I want to talk about number stuff, and let's make it 1 decimal place. So I change that to 1 decimal place. And that's good, right? And then your first velocity is, of course, 0. And then you're going to use a formula here, right? And the formula is going to be the instantaneous velocity. So in this case, it equals left parenthesis, this cell here, minus this cell here, right parenthesis, divided by, whoops, 0.1. Okay, so literally what we're doing is we're doing how far we went in the last tenth of a second divided by the time is a tenth of a second. And it'll always be a tenth of a second like that, right? Now the cool thing is that we can also generalize that. We can fill that formula down, and it does it cleverly. It always uses the cells to the left to do that, right? And then it's like, what is that formula? If you go in here and click View, one of the things that you might want it to show you is the formula bar. So it shows you what the formula is. Very small. You'll be able to see it when you do it, but there's the formula up there, okay? And there's the next formula, and it's changing the formula, right? And then this looks good. That looks fine for me, okay? Okay, watch this. I'm doing a control click. Hold the control key down, click. That's like a right click on the PC, right? Let's rename this. I'm going to call this data and calculations, okay. And now we're ready to put our first graph in. So let's select the data we want to graph, and that's position versus time. This is the easiest way to do it. So select position and time, and then go insert, and you want to insert a chart. And then it brings up this big ribbon here. You want to do XY scatter charts. And then of these, I think the smooth line one is the best one for this. So I'm going to choose that one, and there it is, right? Okay. Okay, now this chart is nice to have as a separate big chart. So I'm holding the control key down and clicking. It's like a right click. See where it says move chart? Okay, so again, it's a control click on here, right? Move chart. I'm going to make it a new sheet, and I'm going to call that's the name of the new sheet. So position versus time graph. Watch this. This is awesome. Now look at the tabs. Position versus time graph, data and calculations. Okay. Okay. Here's our position versus time graph. That is the most useless legend, so I just clicked it, click delete. Now we want to give the axes titles and give the chart a title. So that's all up in here in the toolbox. Took me a long time to figure that out too. Okay, so chart title. This is going to be position versus time. There we go. And now let's go. Horizontal axis is, oops, I just did vertical. horizontal axis is time, and you better label your units. Whoops. I'm typing time in seconds, if you can't read that. And then the vertical axis is position in centimeters, right? Okay, that's beautiful. And then we're almost done here. We just, I think what I want to do here is in the vertical or the horizontal. I'm going back to horizontal. I think it's nice to have major grid lines on there. Minor ones would be like too many, but it's nice to have those, especially for when you're doing your tangent lines. Okay? Now, the next thing you want to do is we want to actually add a model to this. Okay? So I'm actually have to click on the graph. I'm doing a control click. Okay? You got to hit the graph. If you miss the graph, you don't get that. You get something else, right? You got to hit the graph. See where it says add trend line? For this one, you're supposed to add, here's a type on the side, a polynomial. And you want a second order, just like it says there, right? Before you click OK, though, go down here to Options and display the equation in the chart. Okay, and this is kind of cool. You can see there's your equation. This is S equals ut plus 1 FAT squared. So the term in front of the acceleration, in front of the x squared in this case, is actually half of the acceleration. So the acceleration here would be twice that coefficient, twice the twice the 25.82, so it would be like 21.64 or something like that. Okay, so I'll do that in a different video, but that's kind of cool, right? Okay, and then I think we're done with that graph. Let's go back to here. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom back out to 100%. There we go. Let's scroll up. And then notice the dotted lines here. That's where the pages are going to begin. I think we can put a graph on the same page as the data. Okay, so let's select time. And then I'm going to select velocity. To do this on a Macintosh, hold the Command key down and select the second column. So now you've got this column selected, not this column, this column. That's a drag, and then you hold the Command key down and drag that one. And then for this guy, I think, of all these graphs, again, it's an XY scatter graph, and then this is what you want. Boom, right? And there's our acceleration. I'm going to take this graph, grab it by the edge, put it right there. And then let's scroll down and see it's covering up the numbers. So let's nudge it down. And then, whoops, I must have double clicked. Okay, and then I'm going to, ta-da. Okay, again, the legend does not live on. And then for this, of course, we're going to, if the formatting palette's not up, you're going to click Toolbox. You're going to click this little guy, the formatting palette. Okay, and then let's give it a chart title, which is velocity versus time. Then the x-axis, this is going to be time in seconds. Vertical axis is going to be velocity in centimeters per second. And then I think we're all formatted. Oh, I think it's nice to have, let's see, let's go. I'm going back to horizontal. And I think it's nice to have major grid lines on there like that. Okay, now what we want to do for this guy, you're supposed to put a linear model through, because the slope of this line, this should be sort of a straightish line. The slope of that is the acceleration. So again, I'm doing a control click on one of the points. You got to hit the point. If you miss a point, you're going to get something like that. But you want to right click on the point. Then you get add trend line, type, linear. Then before you click OK, click Options, display equation on chart, OK. Okay, so if you look at that, this slope here is 52.252. That is the acceleration. So your acceleration is about 52 there. And then on here, of course, it's still about 51.64 or something like that. So they are pretty close. I think we're done.